You're listening to the Major Pod Network, the only place where your favorite toy store, card shop, arcade, theme park, and arena are all on the same block. Scratch that major itch.
This is Tony Chimmel, and I'd like to introduce the hosts of the Game Marks podcast, George Feis and Johnny Clash.
Welcome to the Game Marks podcast presented by the Major Pod Network. I'm the man they call Johnny Clash.
And I am Mr. Anything is Feasible, George Feis, and today we are playing UFC Sudden Impact. How is this game going to hold up? Is it going to get a play it forever? Woo! Or a future endeavor?
You're fired!
We also discuss E3 and a big event starting August 1st right here on the Game Marks podcast.
And don't forget to subscribe and leave a 5-star review for this podcast on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, and follow us on all forms of social media at Game Marks Pod, and check out the exclusive content we're creating for Patreon, patreon.com/GameMarksPod. George,
John,
another week. You got me hyped. We were playing Impact, but it's UFC Sudden Impact. It's close.
Wrong kind of impact.
It's not there. It's not the one I want,
Sorry.
but it's okay. It's a UFC game. You know, I love the UFC. Let's talk about last week because I am ready to get into this big announcement for August 1st, but let's do a little follow-up first. Simple 1500 series, the pro wrestling. We both surprisingly gave it a little double piff, a double play it forever. And I know you hate that, but was it justified? Was this game worth a double play it forever?
I think so. It's on the SmackDown 1 engine. And if you like the SmackDown 1 engine and you wanted to maybe have like a fantasy booking of the SmackDown 1 with some created characters that really are just an amalgamation of multiple wrestlers and their movesets, then simple 1500 series, the pro wrestling might be the game for you.
An absolute just mishmash, if you ask me.
Yeah,
just a mishmash on the SmackDown engine. But okay, yeah, well, I think it was justified. It's still, no matter how you look at it, it was still a fun game. So whether it's SmackDown, whether it's Ultimate Fighting Championship 1, it's still a good game in the end. So it well deserved play it forever from both of us, I think.
Oh yeah,
George, what happens when we hit 1,000 followers on Twitter? Tell everybody.
Oh, I'm very excited about this because when we have 1,000 followers on our Twitter, twitter.com/GameMarksPod, we will be dropping the complete video game history of one Mick Foley. And that is not just Mick Foley, that is Mick Foley, Cactus Jack, Dude Love, and Mankind. And who knows where else that Mick Foley has showed up. Maybe there's some sleepers. I had brought up last week that maybe he's in one of the Impact games. So, that might have to come up in our research. But I'm very excited to do this Mick Foley episode.
I'm excited, but I also want to bring up what we are doing starting August 1st.
This is big.
So next week is going to be a regular episode, another game that we're going to let you know at the end here. But then the following week, for 7 weeks, we are going to start an 8-game tournament called Real Original Game Marks Podcast Game Wars, where we are going to determine the best wrestling games ever. It's going to be a head-to-head tournament, and we're going to lay it all out for you right now. Week 1 on August 1st, we are going to do WCW NWO Revenge versus Virtual Pro Wrestling 2. Now, at the end of that episode, a vote is going to go up on Twitter. We're going to pin it. And you have until the following week to cast your vote. And we're going to announce the winner during week 2. Now, that's going to be the precedent for every single week until we get to the winner. Week 2 on August 8th, SmackDown Here Comes the Pain versus Fire Pro Wrestling World.
Man, oh
Oh
man.
my God. August 15th, this is week 3. WWF No Mercy against SmackDown versus Raw 2006.
I don't want to do it. I don't want to do that one.
And week 4, this is August 22nd, you're getting SmackDown 2. This is a little bit of a sleeper round. One of these could come out and go all the way here. SmackDown 2 versus Def Jam Vendetta. See, I think Fight for New York's the better game, but this one's more of a wrestling game. This one, you're actually in a wrestling ring. Now, I know you're saying, oh, you're missing this, you're missing this, you're missing TNA Impact.
I mean, even you said it. We're missing Day of Reckoning.
We're missing Day of Reckoning. But we're going to go back. We're going to do these for, say, consoles. We're going to do best of the Nintendo, best of the Super Nintendo, best of the Super Famicom. This is literally endless. But also, if it's not in the top 8 of video games, it doesn't really deserve to be on the list anyway.
And I mean, this is kind of a mishmash of us, mainly John, doing research as to what what the critics, what people on Reddit, what the gossip and dirt sheets are saying are the biggest games of all time in the world of wrestling. And then also us, kind of swapping out our favorites from specific series. Like, I think someone had said that maybe 2007 or 2008 was the better SmackDown vs. Raw game. But, in our research, John and I having discussions, we noticed that, and we feel like that SmackDown 2006 was the better gameplay overall. So it's the end all be all for Johnny and George, and then you guys get to really sway the votes. And these episodes will be debated by John and I. Sometimes John and I will be on the same page. Other times, I have a feeling that we will not be, mainly in week 2. I have a feeling that we will not be on the same side.
I don't know.
But I'm pleasantly surprised with this bracket that we were able to put together, and I really think that this is going to be something fun. And like John said earlier, this is kind of opening up a whole list of other brackets that we can do. And if we got a good response from this, and you guys have a good time with it, the literal console wars will begin, where we will decide the best wrestling game for each console.
I can't wait. I can't wait to see what you guys come up with. Obviously, I've been listening to too much Taste Buds, and that's where this whole idea came from. But then we're going to have August 29th is going to be the winner of week 1 versus the winner of week 2. September 5th, we're going to go winner of week 3 versus winner of week 4. And then September 12th will be the finals, where the winner of week 5 versus the winner of week 6. I have a feeling I know who's going to be in that, but again, you don't know what's going to happen in, say, week 4 and what it's going to go up against. It's all going to be swaying on the vote. I wish there was a Kinnikuman game in there, but it just doesn't live up to the rest of them,
Sleeper games. And you know what? For this is what I was thinking when we were putting this together, is that for a game like Def Jam or a Kinnikuman game, they're kind of built on the same engine with slight tweaks here and there. Like, they're both THQ games. They, just elements were shifted out, and maybe like move sets were adjusted, but like the general platform from the game is that next gen THQ engine.
Yeah, of course. I agree. And this is gonna, what if we finish a console? Say we just finished the GameCube. What if then we do this for GameCube?
I'm 100%
and we go on and on like that. This opens a whole new world.
Not be on the GameCube list?
What?
Royal Rumble for the Dreamcast.
Why, George?
Because it's not for the GameCube.
All right, stop. Are you ready? Are you tiptoeing towards the diving board? Are you ready to jump back into the octagon for UFC Sudden Impact?
Fingers crossed this is better than the first UFC game.
Hey, George. You see this light here that says game over that I point to at the end of every single episode, like Ronda Rousey pointing to that WrestleMania sign?
I do.
Do you know where I got it?
Why don't you tell me?
I got it from Zavvi. That's us.zavvi.com, Zavvi, and they literally have everything. I have spent hours on this website looking up Mandalorian, Jurassic Park, Harry Potter, like everything you could imagine. There's Legos, Power Rangers. You could pre-order the new Marvel Legends. It's an insane website that has literally everything pop culture. There's even Batman shoes on here.
I mean, I know for me, a little like adult Zen garden project that I like to do is like the smaller Lego sets, and Zavi has a lot of those Lego sets on there and getting kind of itchy. So if you like all things pop culture, like John said, Disney, Star Wars, Marvel, DC, Harry Potter, Nintendo, they're even getting into the wrestling game now.
Oh yeah.
Zavi is the place for you.
That's right. Use code GameMarks, simply just GameMarks, at checkout, and you can get 10% off.
I'm going to redo my wardrobe. UFC Sudden Impact, known in Japan as UFC 2004, released April 21st, 2004 for the PlayStation 2, published by Global Star, developed by Opus, and 2004, banger year for wrestling video games. You've got Day of Reckoning, Survivor Series, SmackDown vs. Raw, Fire Pro Wrestling Z, Backyard Wrestling 2, King of Coliseum 2, and a little game that you may have heard of. It's called Showdown's Legend of Wrestling. I don't need to talk about Showdown Legends of Wrestling any more than we already did. Yeah, no.
No. See, I brought my UFC guys with me this week, but don't tell Uriah Faber over here that Jens Pulver's in the game. We don't want him to break his fist. But all right, this is the 5th UFC game released, the second and last on the PlayStation 2. The first one that came out was the one we played, just Ultimate Fighting Championship in 2000. Then you had UFC Tap Out in 2002 and also UFC Throwdown in 2002, both on different consoles. And then UFC Tap Out 2 came out in 2003, and then this preceded it in 2004. Now, I think this was the start of getting a UFC game that actually felt like a UFC game we play today, where you're not just mashing. You're mashing, but not...
You can if you want to.
You can, but there's actually strategy to it. If you mash, you could get caught in just a flurry of offense. As you go and look at our playthrough, you will see much of that because we weren't really sure what we were doing for a little bit. But you have, of course, the fighting styles: boxing, karate, kung fu, kempo, muay thai, ninjutsu, sambo, submission, sumo, pro wrestling, kickboxing, wrestling, Brazilian jiu-jitsu, and of course more that you could choose from as you play this game. I think the presentation is cool here. You're finally getting something that looks presentable, like they're actual humans in front of you, not pixel bits. And
it's been a while.
I like that it has the old school UFC feel to it, the entrance, the music, the tail of the tape. You're getting little facts as the guys walk out. I popped huge for Ken Shamrocks. It just said very strong. Stuff like that. Even though Matt Hardy's not in the game, you're still getting little Matt facts. I thought that was cool. The way you play this game this is why I think it's very close to the UFC's now, where the way the controller faces are, it's triangle and circle are your punches left and right, and then square and X are your kicks left and right. So you really can target a limb, even though it's so quick and so fast-paced. Maybe it's different against the computer, which I think it is a little bit, where you can actually have a strategy and they fight back properly. But like when me and George played, it was a car wreck.
It's button mash and
Now to do grapples and such, you have to just press multiple buttons at the same time. It's not easy, and it's very easy to get taken down and just stuck in a ground and pound. And you have to figure out your way out.
You can see the groundwork being laid for the UFC styles that we know now. This is just, if you stripped everything that you know today about a UFC game and just made it the bare bones, that's what this is. There's not a whole lot. Like, you can't sprawl out of a takedown attempt. You can counter.
We did it.
It's not so much a sprawl.
It's kind of just like a break.
As you just kind of like pivot and you shift.
You like break the
out.
lockup, like when you're going for a double lockup in a wrestling game.
We're in like nowadays you can sprawl, you can counterattack, you can, turn it into a hip toss. Like there's so many different counters in like a current day UFC game where this is just like you get one option and that's your way out of it. But like John said, once you get taken down, it is just
it's game over pretty much. You can flip and get the person on their back if you're on your back. It's not easy, and it's
timing is everything.
There's no stamina bar either, which if the way I spam stuff in UFC games, my stamina bar goes down anyway. So I kind of like this a lot because I
not
could
in this game. The flurry of punches that John threw in our playthrough video on our YouTube channel, man, oh man! And then later on, I gave him the receipt for that. But
you did. But you could also, once your health bar starts to go down, if you rest, it does go back up to an extent. So in that sense, it's kind of like stamina, but it's also, you could kind of save yourself by either exiting the round, like a real fight, or maybe just taking a breather and blocking some stuff. Now, there's a little
more of a strategy that you can employ here and less of just like, well, you're going to go out there and you're going to mash a bunch of buttons and hopefully something's going to happen and hopefully that something is that you're going to win.
Right.
This is like, you can go out there and mash buttons, but if you get caught, you're going to pay.
Now, I wish the triggers were block buttons like they are.
I wish that they were too.
Like, that's just, especially with all the wrestling games out, it seemed like a layup. Like, just put that in there. But pressing back, like whatever way your back is facing is how you blocked. And it only worked like, I would say half of the time. But let's talk about what they added to this game from the previous. You now have fence positioning. So if you get the guy up against the octagon, you can kind of do like a little struggle. You could throw more shots, take the guy down from there. And apparently it's a little bit faster than the previous games, which I guess slightly compared to the other two. I know we haven't played them on here, but I do have some experience playing those games. I mean, it's not anything drastic where I'm like, oh yeah, this game is definitely faster. It's just, it's a PlayStation 2 game. It's going to be as fast as it could be. Maybe it's because there's not much to it other than fighting. I don't know. You do get Bruce Buffer in the beginning doing his little
which
intros.
Is great.
Oh, it's always nice to see partner
and
Bruce.
The opening video is pretty good too.
The opening video is pretty good. You also get Big John McCarthy, emphasis on the big, refereeing your fights.
Bendham John McCarthy.
He is as Bendham as could be. His shoulders are huge. He is just like someone.
I don't even know if that's Bendham. He might be Stretch Armstrong John McCarthy.
It's the second time this is coming up in a game.
I know. It's just maybe that's just like the era of the games that we're playing now, where everyone just looks like a Bendham or a Stretch Armstrong.
He did and does wear like baggy shirts, so I guess that's what they were going for.
But I don't know. It makes him look like he is 2 times as big as he is.
He probably is, to be honest. I don't know. It's John McCarthy after all. But you could also play as him, which is funny because it's the same character model, just a little bit better than the referee.
Oh, don't worry. We're going to get into that roster read.
Now, the modes you have here, you have arcade mode where you choose a fighter, you kind of just go up against the computer and it's just unlimited number of fights. They just keep coming at you. It's just continuous until pretty much you lose. It's like an arcade game. So everybody knows how that goes. You don't have coins because it's a PlayStation 2 game. You just lose. You start over. It's just continuous fun. But as you either win certain amount of matches or you go through certain modes, you actually unlock a lot of these fighters, and we'll get to that in a little bit. You have versus mode where it's, guess what, guys? 2 players versus each other, where you could go one-on-one, or you could go 1 versus computer, 2 versus computer, or you could just watch. We all like that watch mode. You could do an 8-person tournament, which we should have done. We should have just done the tournament. We pretty much did it anyway. Story mode, which we'll get to in a second. Champion Road and Training. Now, story mode, this is where I feel like this was the bread and butter here. This was continuous loop of fun, if you ask me. I love this stuff. This is just like the UFC games now with the story mode. You create a custom MMA fighter. You start in the street. You have a trainer that just comes up to you and takes you under his wing, and you have 3 years to make it in the UFC. Now, if you know these games, some of them, depending on the difficulty and what game it is, it's hard to actually make it to the UFC. I know now I think they give you a starting path, whether you're already in the UFC or you have to work your way there.
Yeah.
And there's certain ways to do it. I know I did a career in the newest UFC start to finish, and it's like 20 years or something. They go quick because every fight's like 6 months or so. You're actually not doing that many. But then I started another one, and I just went straight into the UFC. And you already got stats boosted. You're already ready to go. So, I mean, it depends which way you want to take it. But you get challenges in here where you unlock certain I keep going to say wrestlers, certain fighters. You could earn stats, new moves. So it builds upon itself, and it's an actually well drawn out story mode to sit there and play.
I would say it's very much like you said earlier. It's very similar to the UFC games that you get now. But I mean, this was really what people wanted in video games nowadays, especially for these, sports style games, these fighting style games. They wanted it. Yeah, yes, give me all of the big names of that sport, but also give me a single player story mode that's completely unique and has a creative storyline to it. I mean, this is exactly what wrestling games are doing at this time. This is, it's everywhere. And I think I don't even know. Hockey games doing this at this point? Football games? I don't know. Like,
absolutely.
There's story modes, but I don't know if they're as. I guess I'm kind of comparing everything to the wrestling games, where everything in a wrestling game is always way more dramatic, whereas these are like at least somewhat grounded in a little bit of realism. Like, could this happen? Yeah. Is the Day of Reckoning storyline the Day of Reckoning 2 storyline happening, or the WrestleMania 19 storyline happening? Probably not.
So in NHL, it's be a pro mode, and it's not exactly like a story. It's actually kind of annoying. Like, you talk to your GM and like other players like invite you out. Like, do you make the choice to go out? And it like affects your popularity or whatever.
Yeah, it's more like of a story driven kind of mode where it's just like you play the games and then afterwards it's a lot of like, you did this, you did that, you did this, you could do this, but it's not like full blown cutscenes and like live action or quick time events and stuff like that.
Right. I think
like nowadays
NFL, like Madden, does that a little bit more, where they'll put a mode in the game. It's kind of weird how they do it, but this
franchise mode, right? That's what NFL does.
No, franchise is just you pretty much take the team. I don't remember what it's called. It's something like Be a Pro, where you start.
Oh, it's face of the
franchise. Maybe.
Yeah, I
think that's what it used to be. I don't know.
I think that's what it is in 20 or 21. It's Face of the Franchise.
No, it's called Face of the Franchise: Rise to Fame, and the newest one. Okay, I believe.
Yeah, and that's where like you're like doing like press events and how you answer the press questions.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
The storyline shapes and like how you get your team stats and stuff. It's cool. It's a interesting build on that.
I think NBA used to do that pretty well. I don't know if they still do. I haven't played one since I think 16, but that used to be a lot of fun. There was like an actual story. But same as this. Every December in this game, you get a little tournament, an open weight UFC tournament where you go against generic characters. And then the end of the 3 years of training, you finally reach the UFC, and then your character is available to play in every single mode. So it's kind of cool. You don't just get a character and you could just ramp up their stats and go beat up Dan Severn. You have to actually work for it. I like it.
I love it. Now,
Champion Road, which is something we've heard quite a bit here on this podcast.
From what game series?
A lot of game series. Fire Pro Wrestling, I believe, and a bunch of others. Yeah. I think a lot of Japanese use Champion Road or Fighting Road.
It's Champion Road is the main thing of every Fire Pro game, and then I'm pretty sure every Fire Pro ripoff also was just like, Champion Road.
Yeah,
Road to Championship.
A non-copyrighted word, sure. Yeah. Now, in this one, the aim is to win a title. So 5 fights win, you get the silver title. And then if you go to 10, you get the gold title, which is a pretty nice UFC belt in here. I actually like that they put the real belt, and it looks pretty good. I mean, it looks comparable to whatever was out. What was out? SmackDown versus Raw at this time, I think, if you ask me. It looked pretty good.
SmackDown versus Raw.
Now, again, that also unlocked some characters once you win either the silver or the gold, and you could keep going. So the way it works is once you win the silver, you're now the silver champion, but you have to now start over as that champion and win 10 to get the gold. So you kind of build upon your title reign.
Yeah.
So with that, are you ready for this full roster?
Will you be doing the honors this week?
Do you want me to?
I kind of want you to.
All right.
Being that you are the more, I want to say that you're the bigger fan, but you're a bigger UFC fan than I am.
All right, then I'll take it.
I'm a UFC fan. You're just the bigger one.
Okay, great. All right, your roster for UFC Sudden Impact: Andrei Arlovsky, BJ Penn with hair, Bas Rutten, Kyle Uno, not player Uno, Chuck Liddell, Dave Mene, Dwayne Ludwig, Elvis Sinosic, I believe it is, Erica Montoya, Eugene Jackson, Frank Shamrock, Gary Goodridge, Guy Metzger, Jens Pulver without pink hair, Ken Shamrock, Kevin Randleman, Mark Coleman with hair, Matt Serra with hair, Maurice Smith, Murillo Bustamante, Pedro Rizzo, Pete Sprott, Petey Williams, not the Canadian Destroyer one, Phil Baroni, who looked like Broski, Renato Sobral, Rico Rodriguez, Tim Sylvia, Tito Ortiz with a little bit more hair, Tsuyoshi Kosaka, Vitor Belfort, and Yves Edwards. Now we're going to get to the unlockable roster in a little bit, but first, I think we need to touch and talk about this artwork because I don't love it. I don't love it, but this is the artwork that you're getting for UFC games on the PlayStation 2.
I mean, I understand what they're going for. I just think a different strike would have been better.
Now, while we have that one, there's also a Japanese cover that might be way worse. Because
I don't know.
So here's the thing. They're all like, it looks like they're in a pool because of the blue background. And they're all, it's just like, I don't know. I don't know. They're all just posed there.
Pool. Well, do you know what it is? They all have this gradient on them that makes it look like they're not wearing any kind of clothes. Because obviously it's all of their like fight promo pics, so everyone's shirtless with their fists up.
Like, give us a filter.
This gradient just makes it look like Chuck Liddell is already wearing blue fight shorts. So with this gradient, it just looks like he is pants.
I'm telling you, it looks like a lemon party in a pool.
But
anyway, back to the cover we would see in stores.
These are bad.
Yeah, so you got a nice knee strike on the cover, UFC Sudden Impact. Now, all of the, I think, games here in 2000 to 2004 had pretty bad covers. So I'm not going to, I don't know, shit on them too much. I think Throwdown had the best. It had Tito Ortiz with a knee, but from the front angle, not like the head being held down to the knee. I don't know. I guess it's not a bad shot. It just could have been better.
So much more.
Yeah, it could have been so much better. Now on the back, you get Chuck Liddell and Tito Ortiz. Of course, they were the commodity here. Everyone wanted to see Chuck and Tito. Go out of your way if you have ESPN Plus to watch Chuck and Tito. It was awesome.
Oh yeah,
documentary on them. Go head to head with over 35 real UFC fighters, and it says who it's including. And it says, "Are you ready? Let's get it on." With 3 screenshots, of course, of the gameplay. And I think if you've played the first few and you see the screenshots on the back, you're instantly like, "Oh, that looks way better than." Ultimate Fighting Championship or Throwdown. Become the ultimate fighter, throwing down real-time cuts and bruises. Create, train, and crush your opponent with your own customizable character or one of your favorite UFC fighters. Unlock
the cuts and bruises. Real thing. That happens.
Yeah, you actually get cuts and bruises on your face like a real fight.
And you see the blood in between rounds.
They learned. They learned. Choose from 15 different fighting disciplines, new fighting positions, and a greater variety of moves. Brawl your way through 5 different modes and play, including an all-new enhanced story mode. So I like what they did here. It's not bad. I like the arena, everything. Let's get into the art style. Let's talk about it while we're here. The arena looks great. I like the old school Titantron looking feel that UFC once had, but now it's more of like a Bellator PFL type thing. The octagon with the newer logo looks great. I hated that old UFC logo. I absolutely hate it.
Yeah.
You get the round icon on the bottom, like a real UFC fight where time ticks down and you get 5 rounds for a championship, and the health bar up top. It's not overbearing. What do you think? I know sometimes you're more of a stickler for that than I am.
No, I think they did a good job. Again, I think more games like this should have these stats, HUDs, whatever you want to call it, down at the bottom. I just think it reads better that way. But I mean, paper crowd, the announce table, not great. I mean, everything inside the octagon is pretty good. Character models look good for the year that it came out. The textures, the skins.
Oh yeah.
Everyone's really big. People got giant shoulders. They got giant pecs. Like everyone's like it's like this is if Vince McMahon booked the UFC in 2004.
He didn't?
This is what it is. It's an upper body business, kid.
Matt Hughes is only 5'9", and he was like 6'10" in this game.
You're either a massive person, or if you're someone that's a little more of a lean fighter. The example that I had was BJ Penn, who's, he's a smaller guy, but they made him look like he was a skeleton. It's very similar to the Simple 1500 series that we played last week. Either you are a giant person or you are skin and bones.
Yes, correct. I don't know. I don't know. We played as some lightweights. There's also no weight classes in here unless you're playing Champion Road. So I guess
that was ridiculous.
But I guess the stats are just even, so it doesn't really matter.
They show you the stats when you're selecting your character, but
yeah, that's just kind of like what you're good at. It's not like, oh, you're a 100.
Well, they've got that little graph of you're more of a striker, and it's like your power and stuff is like on that little octagon graph that they give you. But how much of that is just like a visual thing, and then how much of that is actually something that's programmed into the game is another thing.
Okay. Yeah, I guess. I don't know. I just what?
Good.
No, you.
Oh, I was just saying it's not a bad creative suite.
No,
for the game,
not at all. Listen, nothing. You're in the PS2 era. Nothing was off limits. We saw what the capabilities were with the WWE games, and all the PS2 seemingly lasted forever. Like this was all built upon and built upon and built upon. Like stuff was possible on PS2. And I'm glad that this game kind of exploited what was possible in certain aspects. Even the blood pooling on the mat, was just, I don't know. It was just cool.
I thought it was, they nailed some parts of this game, and then other parts left a little bit to be desired. But,
I think the only way something was left to be desired here, gameplay-wise, was because I knew what the newest game is like.
I 100% thought you were going to hit me with a did you know there.
No, not yet.
100%.
No.
I was getting ready to point at you because I was just
saying, you smirking. I'm like, what's he doing over there?
I was ready for it.
No, I really think that going back, I told you, I remember seeing a GameStop kiosk with one of these games, and it was literally just a beat 'em up. I don't think it was this one. I think it was Throwdown. And I wasn't too thrilled with it. This one had a little bit more. It was more drawn out. I feel like if I wasn't a UFC fan then, I just kind of knew about it. I was maybe just getting into it a little bit. It really wasn't till maybe 2007, I guess I was a bigger UFC fan. So knowing what this game was, I think I would have loved it as a fighting fan. But now I know how drawn out and how good the UFC games are that, I'm missing certain things. I'm missing the transitions and the head kicks and certain stuff and Superman punches and power bombing guys onto the cage. But you're not going to get that yet. Also, UFC wasn't as mainstream in 2004 as it is now. So you're not going to...
That's what I was going to say. It's the UFC that we know now is not at all. Dana White has hair in this game.
He hasn't pulled it out yet, dealing with Conor McGregor. Also, as I look at my figures here, it wasn't Jens Pulver that Uriah Faber broke his fist on. It was Mike Brown. Sorry. Yeah, sorry. I mixed up my dream fights with my guy over here, Uriah. George, did you know? Did you know you could play as Dana White with hair by beating Champion Road with all of the lightweight fighters, including the unlockable Jens Pulver?
Did you know you can play as Dan Severn by unlocking everyone in the game?
Did you know UFC Sudden Impact is on eBay for as low as 99 cents and goes up to about $12 used and is $68 brand new sealed?
Damn.
Couldn't just add that one extra dollar, huh?
Nice.
All right, so your unlockables from Champion Road, you get Bas Rutten, Frank Shamrock, Guy Metzger, Jens Pulver, Jeremy Horn, Mark Coleman, Maurice Smith, Murilo Bustamante, Pete Williams, and Tsuyoshi Kasaka. Now that's by pretty much just win the championships, win multiple.
Play through them again.
Yeah, I think it's mostly like winning certain belts and matches in a row to unlock. This is my favorite one. To unlock Big John McCarthy, you have to view the "you lose" screen 50 times. So I guess you have
50 matches.
You have to throw 50 matches, and there's Big John McCarthy in there saying, "Let's get it on." And
then you get a more detailed shirt version of Big John McCarthy.
That's really it. Like his face is more detailed, and his shirt, and then he's just wearing gloves. Yeah, it's pretty funny.
He's got his fighter gloves on instead of the white ref gloves, like someone's already busted open.
Ooh, I just kicked my new Xbox. That wasn't good.
Oh,
all right. So I actually like that we have a whole bunch of scores here. So are you ready?
Oh, I'm so excited for you
for the ratings and reviews. Some R&R.
Oh, let's go.
All right. Overall Metacritic with a 54 out of 100. Yikes. CGM with a 1 out of 4 stars, EGM with a 4.83 out of 10, Famitsu with a 28 out of 40, Game Informer with a 6.5 out of 10, Game Pro with a 3 out of 5, Game Revolution with a D+, GameSpot with a 6 out of 10, Game Spy with a 3 out of 5, Game Zone with a 7 out of 10, and OPM with a 2 out of 5. So, not that great. I like that we're looking at this game with like clear vision, though. We're not in 2004 right now. We don't know what's around it. We don't know what came before and what came after. We're not caring about any of that stuff. We are zoned in on this game, and I like that. That's what we do here on this damn podcast.
It's great.
But I think with that, we have to go to the next part because right now it's time to rate the games.
It's the best part of the show.
The game!
George Feis, I want your opinion first. UFC Sudden Impact. Play it forever or future endeavor.
You're fired!
All right, so we try not to compare, even though we do. We try not to compare the games to their prior versions. We try to review each one as a standalone title. Sometimes that doesn't work. Sometimes we 100% say, well, the next version is way better. I'm going to try not to do that. I am also going to remove the fact that my solo playthrough versus my playthrough with you for the channel, the multiplayer was way better than the single playthrough. Okay, that being said, for the time, this is not a bad UFC game. Is it the greatest UFC game in the history of the line? No, far from it. But for 2004, knowing that, this is the yearly release for the UFC, it's not a bad game. And I think I'm going to give it a play it forever.
Oh, baby. All right.
I'm going to future endeavor that cover, though. Both of them. Both of them. International and the U.S. is just no.
If we could just get rid of the U.S., I'd be happy. But, I mean, I'm sorry.
They're both so bad. Both of them are so bad.
All right.
All right. Now I turn that question to you, Johnny Clash. Will you play it forever or future endeavor?
I think I had the same struggle that you did because I know a lot of these UFC games after this, and they're so good. You mentioned earlier, there's the one with Pride and Strikeforce, and
it's my favorite. Pride one is the best.
There's so much good stuff here. Remember there was what was it? EA MMA. That we're gonna forget about that one.
Oh no, that's on the list. It's on the list.
Yeah, but
It's
right
coming.
now we're gonna forget it, that one even exists.
Oh yes.
Oh, I'm glad they redeemed themselves later on. But it was fun. Like this was, what more do you want? Like there was no glitches. I mean, there wasn't anything that like pissed you off. It was fair in the sense that my beating went my way, your beating went your way. When you play the computer, it's not overly difficult. I understand that it's not a big time, full, big game with a lot of stuff in it, but it has enough. It has Champion Road. It has a story mode. I feel like a lot of these games like this aren't going to have that. And for that, I'm going to say play it forever.
Woo! Right.
And I don't know if it deserves these bad of scores because what are you comparing it to?
I was gonna say, you're comparing it to what? The other UFC games that were released prior to this, or you were comparing it to like other sports games? Because, I mean, it's not the same thing.
Right. I mean, there's a lot of wrestling games out this year, but I don't know. There's always that crossover between wrestling and UFC fans, but there's also those UFC fans that hate wrestling and vice versa. So like if you're catering towards those people also, who cares what wrestling game's out? I mean, ratings are just ratings. I don't know.
What's the most current UFC?
UFC, the one with
4?
Israel on it. Is it 4? Yes, 4.
Is it the one
with Masvidal and Israel on it?
Yeah, Masvidal, yeah, okay.
Which, honestly, I think is a perfect game. It's even got a Mortal Kombat mode in there. We should play that sometime. They're constantly adding new fighters like Brock Lesnar, and they're free. You don't have to buy them. They're just in the game now. It's a lot of fun.
All about that.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. The creative suite's really cool. Also, I made Sting. You could create almost anyone. Honestly, they outdid themselves this year with this year's game. I didn't think they could pass UFC 3 with Connor on the cover because it had such a good story and it had such a good just gameplay that they actually simplified it for 4 and made it even better.
Oh wow!
Like you were constantly rotating the left stick and getting in and out of submissions, blah blah blah. Now they kind of just simplified it where you just have to go like up on the joystick or down, and each did a different thing. I think we're gonna play it one day.
Maybe that's an OMG.
I have it, but it's on the PS4, so we got to figure that out.
All right.
Yeah,
we'll capture cards and
capture cards. I got that. I do have a capture card.
In-person recording. That's how we handle
that too. All right. Hey, that's UFC Sudden Impact. Are you ready for the soft lock?
Let's go. All right, so Soft Lock is a weekly segment where a Megamark from our Patreon gives us a topic, and John and I talk about, debate, discuss that topic, and then we pass that question on to you, and you let us know all of your feelings about that topic on social media at GameMarksPod. This week, the question comes from Tecker, and Tecker would like us to debate E3. He says, was E3 necessary? Pick a side and argue whether E3 should come back or keep doing these minor showcases every couple of months. I'm torn for 2 reasons.
Let's see if we're the same reasons.
I selfishly would love to go to E3, in which case I want it to be a big, convention with like all the vendors and the showcases. I mean, because yes, E3 is where developers and publishers go and talk about and debut their new games and DLC and stuff like that. But there's a whole lot more that also goes into it. There's like it's like E3 over the years had pretty much become like the Comic-Con for video games.
Okay. Yeah.
And I've always wanted to experience it, but it's just such a, it's a trip. You got to take time off work and do that whole thing. It's multiple days.
Yes.
It's a big to do. But it has always been a dream of mine to go to E3. I followed it very closely every year. So selfishly, yes, I want it to be there so that I can say that I went. But do I think it needs to be a thing? No, especially with the advent of how big social media is. I mean, the argument can be made that the real viewership from a game releasing something is just the fact that, or a company releasing a game is just from the fact that they're posting about it on their social media and people are flocking to their YouTube because there are millions of people who follow these companies. But John, how do you feel about E3?
So it's kind of like Comic-Con. I feel like they have those like little conventions here and there that are maybe by the same company, but you need that big one. In my opinion, you need that big one every so often, once a year, twice a year, that showcases everything. I mean, it's such a cool thing to have, and I don't know. I hate that it's been canceled, and it like really sucks for the future of it. But they are keeping it afloat with these little here and there updates, which is cool. I think you should do those maybe little bit, maybe 6 shows a year, maybe do 4 little ones and then 2 big ones. Do it like Comic-Con, do one in the West Coast, do one in the East Coast, broadcast them, have content, have like the gaming world is as big as ever right now with esports and everything, host tournaments, do what you got to do to keep it afloat. I feel like people will go to it. I know, COVID got in the way and whatnot, but you're going to find people that are going to go and I don't know, build it back up. Start smaller if you have to. We'll go. We'll exhibit.
I love it. I will. I would want to. I mean, I don't know if we're going to have a booth, but hell yeah, we'll go and we'll do some coverage.
We'll just be there.
We'll be there. I would love to do that.
We'll do a full hour-long panel on Cutie Suzuki.
Yes. Man, we should have planned ahead and we could have done Comic-Con.
Yeah, well, there's still time for October.
That's true.
That's true. But all right, that was a good one. I wish E3 the best, and I hope that one day,
hopefully E3 doesn't stay future endeavor.
We've barely had E3 talk while we did this podcast because a year in it got shut down. So for our benefit, I would love for it to come back.
Yes, I 100% agree. Also, John, I don't know if you had been paying attention to the calendar, but let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 in a month from today that we are recording this, it is our 3-year anniversary.
Oh, happy anniversary, George. What do I have to get you? How about
tickets to
the tournament?
Tickets to Comic-Con.
Tickets to Comic-Con. Oh, okay. Hey, maybe we'll take a break from our Game Wars and do something special, or I don't know. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, no. I think the way that this is lining up, Game Wars might end on the 3-year anniversary, which would be great.
All right, we'll see. But are you ready for some gaming news sponsored by Wrestle Champs?
Let's go.
Wrestle Champs new for the iOS and Android. Check it out now. Download it today. And hey, we're in the game. Check us out. The upcoming Saints Row reboot from developer Deep Silver Volition? Sure. Has officially gone gold, set to release August 23rd. So Saints Row is back. Now, here's an update on the Steam Deck. We've all had the climbing... You see the sweat on my forehead? Climbing temperatures in the world. I think London just hit its highest temperature ever. Steam Deck posted, for our friends in the midst of a heat wave, a quick note about Steam Deck and high temperatures. Steam Deck performs at its best in ambient temperatures between 0 and 35 degrees Celsius. If the temperature gets higher than this, Steam Deck may start to throttle performance to protect itself. So thanks for the update, Steam Deck. I feel like they're constantly giving updates on their hardware. And I don't know, I'm still so skeptical about the whole Steam Deck thing. It's just, I don't know. Will it ever be considered like a top console? I don't
know.
The way that they're rolling it out, it doesn't seem like it will be.
It's such a promising thing that's just not.
Yeah, maybe Steam Deck 2. I don't know.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Prior to the launch of Cyberpunk 2077 back in 2020, CD Projekt Red was considered the most valuable gaming company in Europe. Now, according to Business Insider Poland, the value of CD Projekt Red has dipped by 75% since the release of Cyberpunk. Holy crap. Now, Xbox will start to roll out Discord integration to select Xbox insiders and will expand to even more users in the coming weeks. And I believe that was the day we're recording. I think it's this week. So when you're listening to this, last week they started rolling out Discord integration. So that's pretty cool. Now, this is the last thing I want to talk about. WWE 2K22, we said the last DLC pack, the whole damn pack was released. We were debating Logan Paul's gear. It's all there. Logan Paul's gear is in the game. I think it looks great rather than that rare Pikachu card around his neck. It's just it's a 2K Charizard card. It's Pikachu.
No, I thought he had the Charizard.
Logan Paul card. Oh, it's Charizard. What the fuck? Why did I think it was Pikachu?
No, he's got like the one of one. Like,
oh, he's got the Illustrator Pikachu too.
Oh, but at Mania, it's the Charizard card, right?
At Mania, I guess, yeah, but he wears both around his neck.
Oh, yeah. I just remember that was the big thing that everyone was trying to do, like, during the pandemic, was everyone was buying
he wore Pikachu at WrestleMania.
What?
Yeah.
But he has both. Okay.
He has both, yes. But Pikachu's at WrestleMania. But in the game, he's wearing his own 2K22 card, which is kind of cool. I think they really hit a home run with him and Machine Gun Kelly in the game. People are oh, you forgot to add this, you forgot to add this. It's DLC, whatever. The creative suite's literally top of the line. Go find who you're looking for and shut up. They'll be in next year's game. Machine Gun Kelly looked pretty damn cool. The way he drummed on the turnbuckle pad and came out with the guitar and all that. It's good to see.
I hate how much I like that.
How many people are going to steal that guitar entrance?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
100%. And think of all the possibilities now for like creative wrestlers and stuff.
Exactly. It's
so good.
Pretty cool. All right. Releasing this week, Immortality for the PC, Multiverse for the PC, PS5, across the board. Autonauts vs. Pirate Bots for the PC. Bear and Breakfast for the PC and Switch. Captain Velvet Meteor, The Jump Plus Dimensions for the Switch. Sweet Transit for the PC. Digimon Survive. I just found a box of Digimon cards, by the way. Pretty cool. Ooh. Digimon Survive for the PC, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and Switch. Madison for the Switch. Story of Seasons, Pioneer of Olive Town for the PS4. And Xenoblade Chronicles 3 for the Switch. So, good amount of games coming out this week.
Oh, yeah. It's good. This is like... From now to the end of the year, this is when things really start ramping up for releases. It's great. A little more information because I wanted to know. Logan Paul's Pikachu Illustrator card. It's a PSA Grade 10 Pikachu Illustrator card. Estimated value, $5.275 million.
Yeah, is that the one Jeremy Padour helped him get?
I don't know, but holy...
Yeah.
It's
the most rare card in the world, I believe.
I think Logan Paul has both of the rarest cards. I think the other one is that Charizard that's like PSA 10 that's like on,
Yeah, I believe it.
On a chain as well.
I definitely believe it.
But yeah, guys, youtube.com/GameMarks podcast for all of our weekly playthrough videos, exclusive content, and more, including this week. You want to watch me and John beat the shit out of each other in UFC? It's on there. And it's also every other week's game. If you want to see me and John go beat the crap out of each other in Simple 1500 series, that's up there too. John, what's going on Patreon?
On Patreon this week, Monday, I've been posting them a little earlier, so maybe even Saturday or Sunday, it could be even Friday. You're getting the show ad-free with the show notes that drive this show. Tuesday, you're getting Game Over, where we continue our World Heavyweight title quest on WWF No Mercy. Wednesday, you are getting Future Endeavored, where last week George played WCW Nitro. This week, I'm playing Thunder Pro Retsuden. Oh boy.
Oh, have fun.
I'm going to switch this around a bit. So this week you are going to get Clash and Burn from the Creative Pro Show this Sunday. And next week you're going to get Wild's World. Now, August 7th, GMP64 returns to twitch.tv/GameMarksPod with GMP64 unsanctioned. See me and George go head-to-head in WWF No Mercy with our own rosters.
It's going down.
Speaking of going down, what are we playing next week?
Oh,
The final game before Game Wars.
we are playing Pro Wrestling Sengokuden for the PlayStation. I think it's the PlayStation 1. I think there's Pro Wrestling Sengokuden 1 and 2.
Oh boy. I'm looking at it. I'm holding out hope that it's one of these sleeper games, but
it looks like it's going to be similar to WCW versus the World, so we'll see.
okay.
We'll see.
Okay. All right.
But we're gonna go in optimistic.
You never know.
Yeah. Sleeper games. GameMarksPod.com/shop for all of our exclusive merchandise. ProWrestlingTees.com/GameMarksPod for all our new shirt designs, and Patreon.com/GameMarksPod for all of our exclusive content like show notes, exclusive shows, and a whole lot more. At GameMarksPod on all forms of social media. And please make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and ring that notification bell. And leave us a review and a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And if you have a product or service that you would like to advertise on this podcast, please reach out to us at GameMarksPod@gmail.com. John, I think that this episode made a sudden impact. What do you think?
I wish it was the other type of impact, but what could I say?
Later. But that's it, man. You go ahead. This is your time to shine.
Game over. Marks with hair.
Game Marks Podcast, put them on the radar. Playing rare games, Sega Saturn, no Game Shark. Johnny and George work hard and they play hard. Future endeavor games and put them in the graveyard. From the deep dive to the clash at the feast. How can I get more? That's question of the week. Follow on Twitch, there's nothing that they won't play. Game Marks Podcast every single Monday.